Good afternoon, Tony Dottino here doing my Live with Tony on Monday evening. And I do not know where the days years and years ago, but actually it was only 24 days ago. So welcome to my Live with Tony. And as always, my weekends are one of the best times I have for reading and grabbing the little nuggets that I can find that fit with the overall empowerment of the human mind and our spirit of what can be and how can we reach the best of ourselves. And of course, during the continuation of what we may call a pandemic or the concerns and worries we have over COVID, stress, depression, anxiety continue to come out as impacting all ages and all generations of people. And the lockdowns are certainly not inspiring people to go out and do social interactions or do some of the things that they feel comfortable. And then we reading in the daily newspapers of who else and name and fortune or fame has got COVID, which just heightens the anxiety and the depression about it. And so when do we get back to normal? Do we redefine new normals? Well, certainly watching the football games over the weekend, there was lots and lots of folks sitting in stadiums across the country that were rooting their teams on to victory. So I guess there are people that go out and you just pray that they get home and they stay well and they still stay free of getting sick. And then, of course, what are the age groups? So the point of this tonight is that we have stress in our lives. We have anxiety that we build. And I'm reading this article of some things that we can do that deal with stress. And one that I had never heard before. And maybe it makes some sense, but there's research that is backing up the the acting of drumming, okay? And you can drum on whatever you feel comfortable on. You can drum away, but they're finding that drumming has a level of energy that just lets you free and it releases and has significant reductions in helping you with anxiety and depression along with your overall mental well-being. And so you don't need to go get drumsticks and go out and buy a new set. You might even want to go get a couple of pots and turn them over and bang, bang, bang on those, or you may get a couple of empty gallon jugs of milk or so and bang, 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 that goes off. But I guess it's the research, the act of letting the energy go through your body and just banging on a surface of some sort that allows you to do it. So we see people banging on, I can't bang on the dinner table, but I can do it right now because we're not having dinner. But just the notion of thinking about putting out a tune. We know that ballroom dancing is something that is great, so why not adding drumming to it, because you have to think of a rhythm and a beat and the focus, and therefore your mind moves away from that which is anxiety provoking or stressing you out, and it brings you to a different level of melodic melody, a different level of melody that can help you this change the focus and the neural pathways of where you may be thinking or what you may be thinking about. So that was a new one. I hadn't heard about that one. And so I found that very, very interesting in the Sunday paper of mind clearing activities. And here comes drumming and research that backs it up that says, hey, good activity to engage in. So there's one for you. A second one that I did talk to a few people about, and they said, yeah, they've heard of it and they've actually gotten by it, is coloring. Coloring. And the research is showing that coloring is coloring abstract designs. So if we color things, different designs that require us to create patterns of different thinking and require us to use our hands and put out, different colors and look at a box of colored pencils and et cetera. It's another thing that creates a symmetry of different notions and different ideas and a balance. And so I learned there are actually adult coloring books that people buy from time to time. And those adult coloring books allow them to do abstract designs and different structures of patterns that have symmetry that taps into the aesthetic, which then promotes calm through symmetry and balance, which quiets the noise of our surroundings that we are being stressed and anxious about. So how's that for getting, some colored pencils, getting some colored pencils and getting some take a kid's coloring book, but color. And we don't have to get fancy about that. But I had never read about that. So now I got drumming on one side, right? We're going to bang on some drums, or we're going to play some drums. And the other one is going to be, let's go get a coloring book. And like I say, I don't say it has to be a specific adult coloring book, but the research shows that coloring gets you into a whole different pattern of thought and brings you to a whole different level of thinking. So that's the second one that I found. Wow. So I haven't done any drumming, though I may find some tables to bang on now, or some beat. I got to create a rhythm and a reef. And actually in high school, I actually was on the high school band and actually was a drummer, but on a snare drum using drumsticks, etc. The third one, which I do, and I find that I do miss it, is cloud gazing. Here we are in Florida. I can't tell you how often I can look up at the skies and just see different forms and formations of clouds. And you go float off into imagination. Now, where I do most of my cloud gazing, which is interesting, is swimming in our community pool, which over this past week has probably not been a good idea because it's gotten down into the 30s at night and the 50s in the day, and the water is cold. So I have not been swimming over the last 2 weeks, though I did get there January 11th, so I guess it's been almost 2 weeks. But what I love about swimming is I swim on my back, and this science is suggesting that if we just lay on our backs on a blanket in some grass place or whatever, and just look up at the sky, and just look at what the sky, the shapes of the clouds are, and the different colors of blue and shades, and the different shapes of clouds, and imagine what those clouds were. Now, I've heard about that in the past. I do it when I'm swimming. So during my swimming time, which is now cut back a little bit because of the cold weather here, I love looking at the clouds. And then, very fortunately, I get to see birds come across those clouds. And I find that extraordinarily relaxing. I can focus on my swimming and going back and forth and just looking up at the different shapes, make my turns in the pool, come back the other way, see different shapes in clouds and formations, imagine what I'm seeing up there, and I just go off into space for the next 30 to 40 minutes, depending upon how long I'm swimming for. So the science is now telling us that spending time in nature, now, laying on some grass and looking up at clouds, I would count that as nature. But we also find that a fourth element of walking in nature is a fabulous thing. Now, you do not need to walk in nature. So number 3 is cloud gazing, and it brings in being in nature. And so even pictures of nature inside your residence work. But the fourth one is walking. And I've been doing now broadcasts for the last month or so, and there's not a week goes by that I don't see another research article talking about the benefits of walking, and walking not like you got to go out and walk like you're in a marathon race, but 10 to 15 minutes after dinner helps clean out the sugar processing within your body's organs and systems. But walking is a percentage of great thinkers and great minds have all been avid walkers. And science is now catching up with that and explaining the benefits of how walking reduces your stress and anxiety levels and helps you in cognition, especially in older adults, which is weird because I would think people can benefit by walking at any age. So kids, I remember growing up, I was walking back and forth to school, which was about a mile, and actually would kind of race home for lunch, have lunch, turn around and go right back to school, so we'd be there on time. But the fact of the matter is, walking is a fabulous activity for all of us to engage in, and has many health benefits that go beyond the anxiety and the stress. As you can tell, walking is a great thing for cardio health as well. So you can get some multiple benefits out of some of these. I guess if you banged hard enough on the drums, that would also help your aerobic activity to some level. We certainly, doing some painting or coloring. Now, maybe thinking about, maybe you want to do some painting on some of your blank walls in your home. You want to put some murals up or paint some of your artistic displays on little segments of your house, which could be a little crazy, but then you can look at it and maybe it's a picture of nature. And then, of course, we want you to do some cloud gazing. And so look up at the clouds every once in a while and spend a few minutes sitting comfortably somewhere where you're not twisting your neck or laying on a blanket. If you want to find a place in your house where it's warm and you want to look out at the window and just stare at the clouds and how they move about, the speed, I find it extraordinarily interesting. And here in Windermere, Florida, where I live, and when they do the space launches, I don't want to look at a whole lot of clouds because from my residence, I can see the launches go up in these rockets that they send off to Cape Canaveral and just find Cape Kennedy, and just find it extremely interesting. And of course, you know, I love to get out and run 3 days a week, and walking is certainly something I like to do as well. So when I can walk from the furthest spot in a parking lot, I'll park at the furthest spot. My other half sometimes says, why are you parking way out here? Because I want to walk a little extra, because I understand the benefits of walking. So those are my tips for you on Monday evening, starting off my week of Live with Tony. I always hope that at least one person listens to one of these and grabs one idea. When people look at my stuff and say, gee, you're not getting thousands and thousands of people. My goal is that if I can reach one person, just one person at every broadcast, and make that difference in their life, then to me, every broadcast is well worth my Live with Tony audience picking up something that I've read and learned that I can share with them that can make a difference in their life. So with that, you may want to check out our Maximum Memory Mastery. We're getting close to having the elements of cognitive fitness ready to launch. So we've got some good things going on. And if anyone wants to ever send me a personal email, it's at adottino, that's adottino at AOL.com. And I always welcome those and love to get feedback from people. I'm still learning how to use Facebook to its maximum, and I would give myself a D at best in terms of what I've done. So look, take care. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a good week.